I clicked go live on YouTube and it failed. Hang on.
I was going to say, I don't see it on YouTube, to be fair.
Right. I had a really professional introduction there, Dave, and nothing worked. We're going to have to do all of that again as well.
It sounds like we're re-rolling that, Liam.
So chat, right? I was like, chat's really slow. Chat's not moving very quickly. Do people really hate mini wargaming that much? Like, that's what I was thinking. Okay. I did a nice fancy intro. I told everybody to hit those magical YouTube buttons. We have even started answering some of the questions, only to realise that YouTube, after I clicked go live, didn't actually go live. It failed. So what I also did, and I'm now eating humble pie, is I ripped Dave for the quality of his stream setup. But, you know, at least yesterday you actually managed to fucking go live when you meant to. So...
Well, no, I had help with that. That wasn't me at all.
That's egg on my face right now. So if you'd missed the start of the stream, which you all have because YouTube fucked me, I did welcome everybody. And what we said was, tonight we are specifically talking... I did a nice fancy reveal and everything. I said we are specifically talking about rules for tabletop war games. Now, if you watch the channel and you saw yesterday, I did put a video up covering the Ravage Star campaign that's live currently on GameFound from Mini Wargaming. And as part of that video, we talked to Dave about the rules. And we talked about the fact that it's been kind of fed, built, and grown from the community. They've been putting input in. Matt's been writing the rules, listening. They've been playtesting. It's still in alpha phase, and it's still playtesting. So what I wanted you guys to do tonight, typically on big, colourful postcards, etc., and I was like, there's none of these coming through. Do they really fucking hate us that much? I was like, you chuck the rules at us, we talk about them, and it can be about anything. It could be about 40k. It could be about bolt action. Just the things you like, the things you don't like, the things you'd like to see change. We'll discuss them. And actually, because I have a magical guest here and I made some fancy buttons to do things like this, you can wave now. Now YouTube can actually see you, Dave. We can actually put these live to the big man himself and he can tell us what he thinks, but also it might be something that he takes away and goes, actually, I kind of like that idea. Maybe we might put that in our game in the future. Okay. Now, what I did say jokingly is this specifically isn't an advertisement for Ravage Star, to be clear, because that was yesterday. However, the link is in the video description below, and if you ! Ravage Star in the chat, it will give you a link to the GameFound campaign, which you can pledge to. 400 plus miniatures, a rule set, etc. Already funded, was funded in like 4 minutes. When I checked earlier, was like 1,000% funded or something crazy, Dave, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's over 1,000% right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's daily unlocks all the time, and yeah, the more we do, so the end goal is retail, right? So it's like this is a traditional kickstart to this whole thing in the traditional sense. We need this to make the molds, make more product, so that we can fuel retail. That's the end goal. Yep. Local communities is what we want to thrive, because that's how we started, as a local community, local gaming store, local club. And the more we can support that, then the game lives, the game survives, the game is a thing. Yeah. So that's how it is. But the more that this campaign right now gets, the faster we get there, because the more we'll have to actually be flexible and to proceed forward.
Well, I mean, I really do wish you success, but you know, tonight we're not talking about that, so shut up. Tonight we're talking about rules in the chat. Like, I have to say, firstly, thank you. A big shout out, Awful Gamer TJ, for the 5 gifted. And now, Mordy Hammer, when you super chatted the sleepy face emoji, I now realise you weren't being rude. You were still waiting for the fucking stream that I thought I was halfway through. So thanks for the sleepy face. I'm here now. Right now, what we did do is we did start talking about some of the very early suggestions that happened when the stream went up, because I thought you guys weren't fucking interested. We talked about Mr. Day B reroll. We're gonna do it again, Dave. Right? Just pretend you never heard this question. Okay. Okay. You're into
all
it.
right. 5 second memory. It's all good.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So Dave says reroll should be 1 per game, and what we said was, or what I said specifically was, I actually hate rerolls altogether. I don't like rerolls at all in the game. I'm not a fan of them. I think they remove the super cool narrative moments, and I think that they are a mechanic GW have released because they use a D6 system, and I actually think they kind of mean less fun moments in the game. And Dave said,
I said I'm not a fan of rerolls in the game because it's kind of steals the narrative, right? Let's say you have epic warlord battle, and you get that killing blow. It's like reroll. Sorry, never happened. You know, all that emotional investment. It's like ah. So
Yeah.
like that's the feeling. It's a built-in potential feel bad. Whereas, hey man, the dice are the dice. Don't argue with the dice.
You never
So
argue
whatever
with the
happens,
dice.
happens.
Yeah.
Just way better.
Yeah. Hey, this is surprising news as well this day. This is surprising, but chat's actually moving now. There's like people watching and shit. Who knew? Who knew? Garcy says, a question for Dave. Will the collecting bot sets be broken down into squad level boxes? I guess this is a question for in the future, because currently they're all like multi-model big boxes, right?
That's correct. Well, they're squad-sized boxes currently.
Okay. So will the collected box sets be broken down into squad level boxes? Are the boxes currently squad level boxes? I thought that all the backers stuff is all...
No, they're not. Okay, so there's specific squads that may be created, but honestly, it's supply and demand. So if it's like a thriving thing where really a lot of people want it, then it literally makes sense to do it because it's a popular item, and that we can actually have a new mold made. It would have to be a new mold specific to that box, but the probability of people backing stuff and getting stuff when it's in a war pack or in like a nice 2-player starter set, it's just that's what people get to get into a game. They get a full set, they get a bunch of units, they get all the rules and the dice and every gaming aid needed, and that's the most financially viable at this stage of Ravage Star.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I said before, it's like the more support that we get, then all of that other stuff that we're used to getting in the miniature war games that we play. I mean, that's the goal, right?
So it's a maybe, but not now, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Cool, okay. Right. Chapter. Hang on. Is this John? Is this you again? Chapter. Right. Chapter Master Sack of Balls. This super chat. Thanks, man. Thanks for the 10. I love follower mechanics like Rosie Cotton buffing Sam when near him, and if Rosie dies and Sam has to avenge Rosie. Is this...
What? What does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming it's a Lord of the Rings reference, but Chapter Master Sack of Balls, is it the same as Chapter Master Ballsack? Is this the same person now? I don't. Thanks for the 10 anyway, man. You're a hero. Stu Will, thank you for the gifted. Big Bad Hit Game, thank you for the 10. Rule I like to see when either monster or vehicle dies, they leave some effect to tabletop, either as a crater or a pile of rubble, as that would happen in real life. 40k kind of used to do that, didn't they? When tanks used to get ruined, didn't they used to stay on the tabletop?
Yeah, they did. They were wrecks. They were counted as terrain, I think.
I kind of missed that a little bit, if I'm honest with you. Like, I kind of missed the fact that they kind of become terrain. Monsters as well, I guess, maybe not so much. But like, blowing up of a vehicle or the crashing of an Imperial Knight should probably leave some kind of crater or wreck, right?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And then it's like difficult terrain to go over. Like, it was cool.
Yeah. I'm a fan of that. I would like... The thing is, right, though, here's a problem. Here's a thing that's worth talking about, actually. Here's a tangent that's worth going down. The thing is, we were also talking on the stream, not stream part at the start, about rules for buildings, because someone put one of those questions in right at the start as well, and how buildings should have a health, essentially, and they can crash down and blow up and all that kind of stuff. Dave and I had a great conversation. You should have been there, chat. Really, you should have been there. And how they would be able to interact on the tabletop, and that you'd have a wrecked building, all that kind of stuff. This is kind of similar with Peter's super chat about things like wrecked vehicles and wrecked monsters. The issue comes with if you already have relatively detailed rules for your miniatures that are your army and your faction to kind of make them feel narratively correct and make them feel right, then if you then start layering in terrain rules when they blow up and building rules and vehicle rules as wreckage, like it kind of gets wildly complicated. And I think one of the bigger challenges for certainly for Games Workshop in recent times is accessibility for new players, and my personal opinion, accessibility for the younger crowd as well. Like I think I spoke about this briefly on yesterday's video. I have a 10-year-old who tried to get into AOS and still find it quite difficult. Now, we talk specifically about the modelling aspect of Age of Sigmar and the fact that he had to build and paint his models. But if I look at the rules, even then, it was a lot for him. And he's a smart 10-year-old. It was a lot for him to take on board. So if you then layer in vehicle rules, monster rules, when they're dead, not just playing with them, but once they've been killed, vehicles blowing up, buildings blowing up and collapsing, that gets wildly complicated. It is narratively cool, But is there a balance to be struck between super cool narrative stuff and accessibility?
Yeah, I think so, and I think that's easily solved just by game modes, right? Like there's the general game mode, which is here's the core rule set, and this is how you play, and then there's narrative mode where it can be a little crunchier, because then you can do those cool things, and that's honestly like I think that is a more advanced way of playing. Like you can create whatever narrative you want as a default, right? But to actually make them mechanically work in the game requires a bit more crunchiness. Which, I mean, crunchiness isn't necessarily bad. It's not good or bad. It's just, do we want this to be a little more detailed? And if so, how? And once it is that way, cool. We like it. Let's proceed onward.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? I think that maybe you could layer rules in. I've said this in the past as well. Like you could layer in. So you could play the game with terrain, but have no terrain rules essentially. Or have no like building rules, and then you can say, "Hey, players, if you want, there is building rules. You can use them, but they're actually not essential to the core mechanics of the game, and you can play a game without them." I don't know how you would do this necessarily, but I think if there was a way of layering system so that your advanced players take all of the 5 layers of the game and go, "Boom! Here's our whole cake, and we're going to play this cake." And your brand new players go, actually, we don't want the whole cake. At the moment, we just want the icing. We just want that bit at the top. We're only going to play with that piece right now because that's all we can kind of get our heads around. It's all we can absorb. And then they can add the layers as and when they get used to the game and they get used to certain parts of the game. Like I think that'd be something that I'd be super into. I was kind of hoping, like GW when they announced Combat Patrol, I actually thought Combat Patrol might be a stripped back version, and I guess it kind of is, but what they've also done is they've made completely different rules for Combat Patrol, which for me isn't good for accessibility, because if you learn your Combat Patrol rules for Tyranids and then you go and play the new codex, you're like, well, actually, there's differences now, and I have to learn it all over again, and I don't know if that's, I mean, it's not, learning it all over again is maybe a bit extreme, but you kind of get what I'm saying.
I get what you're saying. It's two different, like, it's even, there's nuanced differences, like, for example, AOS and 40K, like, there's a similarity between them, but there's nuances where if you don't do them, you're not playing the same game at that point. So what we've done with Ravage Star, and this is credit to Matt because he's the one collating he's
just going to promote Ravage Star all night, chat, just to let you know.
So I mean, oh, you know what? That's
no, go for honesty, Dave. Go on.
No, it's in that mode. It's the middle of the campaign, so literally every thought is like defaulting to that. So
hey, look.
But it's rules mechanics, though. It's relevant to what you just said. Okay. So like,
yeah, go for it. Honestly, Dave, I joke. Talk about Ravage Star. I'm excited for it anyway. I hope Jack gets behind it. So honestly, go for it.
Okay. All right. The Afro Chef. I got it. The World Eaters. He said World Eaters. I got distracted. There's a tangent.
Oh yeah, Dave also has chat in front of him. By the way, people, it's not just me, so he can see it too because he's got a live feed of chat because I sent him a link.
Okay. So, oh cool. You put a card there. So yeah. What Matt's done is he's made it so if you want to fight like a handful of characters versus each other, or a typical size battle with maybe, I don't know, 8 to 12 units, or if you want to go like apocalypse size, the rule set is scalable because the core rule set itself lends itself to smaller gameplay, regular size and large, which is great. He's made it so you can do that. And it's still the core rule set, so you don't have to relearn the basic rules or the universal special rules that apply. So I see that as efficient because people have different play styles. Some people don't like large games; they just like kill team sized games.
Yeah.
And so I see that as a good solution to getting into the game, as you were saying before, like the barrier to entry of the complex nature of some of the rule sets that exist out there.
Yeah.
So if the rule set is tight in a general sense, then it can be engaged with no matter how many minis you use in the game. So
actually you've touched on something there which I think GW have taken a step backwards in recent times. They changed like Kill Team kind of was a sort of toned down smaller version of 40k with some nuanced changes. And then you sort of leveled up to. There was a thing when DZ existed. There was a thing in the Discord that there was a hashtag that used to go around all the time. Hashtag just a kill team. People would start with a kill team. I'm just going to have a kill team of Custodies. I'm just going to have a kill team of Eldar. Next thing you know, they've got 2,000 points because actually it scaled up relatively well. When they changed the rules to the most recent kill team system, I felt like it didn't scale up as well. Now, that's not to say it doesn't scale up. It just doesn't scale up as well. And I think they did a similar thing in with Apocalypse as well. I think they had the same problem. My mind, if I was in GW, I'd be like, how I would want it to work is I would want kill team to literally be that little free sniff of coke. That's what it is. It's the little starter drug that gets you off, right? And then you go, well, I've got my kill team. Actually, the rules aren't that different in 40k, and I can just add some tanks and some vehicles, and then I make my faction bigger. And the rules just kind of level up rather than they're just drastically different. And then once I played kill team for a while, not kill team, sorry, 40k for a while, well, actually, Apocalypse, again, is just a slightly different version of 40k. And they kind of all feed into each other. And I think, for me, that makes sense. So kill team's like your gateway drug. 40k is your mainstay. Apocalypse is arguably for your diehards. And I think that's a sensible way of laying out a rule set, which is all essentially hosted in the same like narrative universe. But they kind of haven't done that, and I think that's a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, that's interesting. It feels like they've done it and they haven't done it, right? Because you described the things that they have, which would constitute them doing it, but then you just said they didn't do it. So I'm a little confused, Liam.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with what they do, Dave. I'm always confused. Big Bad Peter Gaming, thank you so much for the 10 gifted. I need to update my little magical tracker. Do you know what? Doing the normal stream is hard enough as it is. Now live producing where I'm camera switching at the same time is fucking horrible, I'll be honest.
I love your stream, man. Like the Nightbot is like the stream, you shits. Like what? I love it. It's so you.
You want an exclamation mark chat in chat, Dave. Afro Chef, thank you for the 5. Always a joy to see mini wargaming, Dave. His corn orcs inspired me to convert my own I call war eaters.
Yes! Oh, I love hearing that so much, man. Oh, that's amazing.
I wish there was, I don't know, like Tournament 40k lately is less friendly to heavy conversions, shall we say. Like, it's not a thing that doesn't happen, and in certain tournaments, certainly, the ones I used to run, if you had a cool conversion, you sent them to me beforehand, you'd be good to go. I kind of miss seeing people's, like, there's a guy, I don't know if he's in chat right now, he's often in chat anyway, a guy called Matt Clare Music, who heavily convert, like he brings a full crew army, heavily converted everywhere. It's super fucking cool. I love seeing stuff like that. I love seeing people's cool projects that aren't normal, things that are basically expressions of people.
Yes.
This is off topic because it's not rules focused, but I want to put you on the spot, Dave.
Please do.
I don't want to be a dick, but I do want to put you on the spot. Ravage Star models are pre-made, pop out of your plastic casing when you receive them, and off you go. Are you concerned that limits people's ability to convert, kit bash, customize, and make their own?
No.
Oh, there we go. Simple as that. Easy, done. Okay.
Well, there's a reason attached to it. Okay, so here's the reason. Am I concerned? No, I don't think about it because that was a consideration. And so there was a poll ran on the Mini Wargaming YouTube community page. And the question was, do you want pre-assembled miniatures or do you want them to be not assembled? So it was about 20,000 votes and over 80% said pre-assembled. For the love of God, please, pre-assembled. And so as a general consensus with our audience specifically, but this is it's just it's a sampling of the overall wargaming community. Vast majority of gamers are casual.
Yep.
Vast majority, right? So it's like, this is something that we need to do to make a game and make it successful. We need to make this accessible to the casual gamer, because if it's not, then it doesn't even begin, because there's so few people, comparatively speaking, that would be interested in getting into it. Especially, we're brand new in this market making games, right? So we got to make that barrier to entry. We got to lower it. We got to knock down that barrier, man. And that's it. And what better way than to ask the community, what do you guys want, right? And so that's about 83%, if I recall correctly. And that's a lot of people voting on, like, using their voice and being like, please, no, pre-assembly. That's the one thing. That's the one thing about hobbying that I like painting, but assembly, it's the same thing over and over. And that's not to discount the people who like to assemble, who like to convert their miniatures, that's fine. I mean, obviously that's a thing. I personally enjoy that, but it's not a matter about what I personally enjoy. It's a matter of what the general consensus is on how we can collectively experience this together in the best possible manner.
Okay, interesting. I mean, I'm a person who likes building and kit bashing. I then struggle when it gets to the painting part of it, but I just thought I'd ask the question because it was thrown up there, and I was like, considering how many I've seen your collection at Mini War Gaming. I've been to the bunker. Considering how many kit bashes and how many conversions there are, it was just a question I wanted to ask you, to be honest, to see what you thought.
Just a question you just wanted to ask, and just to see, what would be the idea of the kit bashing and all the stuff that's all over. You're right. Like this would. I would be remiss not to include this right in front of us as we're talking about this subject, right? Yeah. So, for those listening,
I'd actually quite like a rule. I don't know how you would do this. GW have done this a little bit at times. I'd like rules that allow you to field complete kit bash miniatures with they did like custom land raider rules for a while. I think they did like orc looted vehicles for a while and stuff like that, which I thought was super cool. Yeah. Very difficult to balance. Obviously something that you wouldn't include competitively, but like I kind of miss having those sorts of options.
Oh. Yeah, that's a really cool thing. So how would that work, Liam?
I think what you'd need to do is I think you would need to have kind of like a points table, and I think that dependent on how a thing's rules are laid out. So let's take, for the sake of argument, a Games Workshop based data sheet, right? And so perhaps what you would need to do is you would need to have points values attached to certain toughnesses. So if you were standard toughness 4, you were a base points of, let's say, 15, I don't know. And if you were to go every point of toughness, you gain an extra X number of points. And then and you kind of have a base level, like statistical line. And then have you ever played, you must have played like role play type games on PCs, and you start off with skill points, right? You've done that before? And then,
Diablo.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
And so you have X number of skill points to spend, and you can apply them wherever you want. And you might want to improve your agility, or you might want to improve your toughness, or you might want to improve your strength, or whatever. But what it stops you from doing is you can't improve all of them all the time. And so if you had a set of skill points, maybe you gave a person, again, talking GW data sheets, you gave a person 15 skill points. Every skill point was worth 10 actual points, whatever. So if you increased your toughness by 4, that's another 40 points. And if you increased your weapon skill by 2, or whatever, I don't know, I'm randomly spitballing. But if you directly attach points to certain skill attributes, then you arguably don't end up in a situation where a statistical kind of data sheet is so strong but still only costs 15 points. The difficulty then would come with special rules. So perhaps what you would need to do is you would need to have a pool of, say, 10 special rules and say, hey, you can select 1 of these special rules for 15 points or 2 for 40 points, for argument's sake. And then you have, or the same with the pool of weapons as well. You go granular, like a power fist costs you 10 points and a thunder hammer costs you 15 points. Or if you take a bolt gun, it's completely free because it's a bolt gun. I think if you do, it's complex. This is complicated, and I think this is only for kind of narrative, fun, casual play. It's not for like competitive. But I think there is a way you could do that. You could build a kind of matrix with points linked to statistics or weapons and rules, and you could build a character.
Yes, character builder. Yeah, fantastic idea. And I think that Tabletop Titans would agree that doing character building is something that would enhance the tabletop experience, which is, it's funny you should mention that, because that is a direction that we're leaning and headed towards in other games that we're working on.
I like it. I really like custom character type stuff. Like, I'm a big fan of it because I think we all love to field our favorite Space Marine chapter, or our favorite Eldar Craft World, or our favorite Khorne Warband. But ultimately, and I'm looking at the man who literally has a model designed on himself. Ultimately, we probably want, like, a lot of people want to see themselves on the tabletop, right? That's what they want to do. They want to feel themselves as the head, as the Lord of the Warband, as the head of the chapter. And I think it would be cool if you also gave people the mechanism to build their rules to feel themselves as well.
So that, I love how you're saying this, because that to me is the ultimate immersion of the tabletop board game, right? Like, it's one thing to project, as you said before, it's an expression of the person, the models that they collect, their color choices, conversions, especially the reasons for it, what it means. But when you have a character that is quite literally you, but in model form and exists in that universe, it's a very different feeling.
Yeah.
Right. It's very different. And so when you roll dice and forge the narrative, yeah, you better believe there's no rerolls because things matter.
Yeah. I love that.
And, you better believe you're going to be saying your things as you're in your character. And so you kind of get this hybrid of like role playing and wargaming.
Yeah.
The same, and it happens naturally. It's not like you get extra points or anything for role playing. It's just you get into it, and it enhances the experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a thing. It is a thing that is part of the experience now.
I'm going to give you a warning as well, chat, by the way. Dave's got a hard stop in 23 minutes, okay? So in 23 minutes, he goes, and you just get my fucking ugly mug for the last half an hour. Well, actually a bit longer now, 40 minutes, because we were late, and it's my fault. So you'll get me for the full hour and a half. I always an hour and a half, all right? But you will only get me for the last 40 minutes. Dave's got a hard stop for in 23 minutes' time. So if you have got questions, get them on postcards, because otherwise you're going to fire me questions at the end, and he won't be able to answer them. Live on air anyway. Big shout out to John McCardle for their 50 gifted memberships. You absolute fucking hero. And I think I already said thank you to Big Bad Peter Gaming for the 10 anyway. You people are incredible people. Thank you so much for such amazing support. Gaz has also dropped a nice big fat 10. Hello, Mr. Dave. In recent times, we have seen force selection limits eased to allow for tailored forces in other games. It would be nice to have some sort of force bonus for balanced forces fielded. Now this seems like it's specifically aimed at Ravage Star, so I'm gonna ask it as if it's for Ravage Star. In terms of building a force, how does that work? And are you rewarded for balancing a force and bringing something that's kind of a narrative all-rounder, or is it possible for people to spam like they do in, say, games of 40k right now?
So there's right now there is a force organization that we are experimenting with, because everything's still alpha, right? So it's very flexible in what we can experiment with. And so the idea right now is there's a commander that you have in your force, and there's 1 to 3 core units that you can include, and same with elites, like 0 to 2 elites, 0 to 2 support units. And there's 4 different types of units, right? So that forces you to build in a certain way. Now, the next step from there is to assign value, varying values to the units, because right now that comes through the play testing, see how strong units are and their utility. So that's going to take a lot of stress testing, a lot of play testing to figure out the best possible balance with that.
Yeah.
Because even at the end of the day, if you play test a lot, when there's hundreds of people doing different things, coming up with scenarios, and you kind of squeeze as much as you can out of it in terms of making it feel like it's semi-balanced, there's still going to be an imbalance. There's still going to be, right? Like you'll get close, but how do you make it perfectly? Like even chess isn't perfectly balanced. Someone has to go first, right? So even a game like that, which is the epitome of balance in a tabletop game.
So I think I actually kind of like Gaz's sort of suggestion though. I think you're right. You can't make perfectly balanced. It's impossible. And those that want to sort of spam, if we look at 40k. Those that want to spam will always spam. Obviously, GW put the rule of 3 in place, so no more than 3 of each data sheet to kind of stop that or counteract that. But still, our own Joe is pretty bad for it. If he finds a good data sheet, you can guarantee there's fucking 3 of them in his army. It's going to happen. But I do like the concept of rewarding players who have a more balanced force rather than punishing those that don't. I actually think I guess it's kind of the same thing. I guess if you are rewarding a player who has got balance, then you're kind of pseudo punishing the guy who hasn't brought balance. But I think it's a nicer feeling. Instead of going, you're taking a punishment because you've spammed, you're going, actually you're just going to be rewarded because yours is more balanced. I kind of like that as a concept. It'd be interesting to see how that would work in a system, Gaz, as well, to be honest with you. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of
I
it.
think that, I like that too. I like the idea of there being a formation bonus or something that just kind of rewards a more thematic, more balanced. And from a product standpoint, it probably makes sense to do something like each war pack or each like 2-player battle set all the minis included in there equals its own formation, and you get the bonus of that formation to encourage people to buy more formations. Because you can like include one unit from that box and add it to an existing formation. You get the bonus from the original one, but to get the full bonus from the second one, you got to include every model from the second one. So I think that it's a good incentive to just do more. Right?
Yeah, I like that. That's cool. There's a comment here that I've seen. I've held chat over this comment and on purpose as well, despite the fact it's not super chat. But I want to ask it. So Halorian Christopher has asked: is Dave giving up on 40k in favour of Ravage Star, or is he going to keep playing 40k as well?
Good luck taking the corn out of me. That's all I got to say. Good luck taking any of that. So like 40, I got to tell you, man, like everything, pretty much every thought that I have is laced in 40k. It's all 8s all day long, and the Chaos Army continues to expand. So if that doesn't answer the question, then I don't know what will, right?
Yeah.
I won't ever stop. I don't see myself stopping with 40k anything. Like I get excited about plastic, period. And so if it's corn related and chaos related, yeah, I'm gonna be there. I'm very biased. So
okay, cool. I mean, there's an answer. I'm glad, actually. You know, I think we don't have to. Sometimes I think some people also feel like you have to adhere to or you have to play a game in kind of like a vacuum, and you can't play other games, or you can't be involved in other games. I mean, for me specifically, it is hard actually to be involved in other games because one, I'm so intrinsically like deep into 40k, but also I have limited capacity to learn other game systems right now with how much 40k we do. But actually, I think the majority of people out in the world, in the wargaming world, probably play multiple systems. I think that's more common than not, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I think that, excuse me for saying this live on air, Dave, but I think it would be a pretty stupid move by yourself and mini wargaming in general to ditch a product that has basically been your core product for the last, 8, 9, 10 plus years. How long has mini wargaming going? 14 years?
16's two corns, man.
16 years, okay.
Yeah.
So something that, I mean, I know you very, very first started with Lord of the Rings. I know you do Age of Sigmar, and you've done other things like Heresy, etc. But 40k, let's be honest, has been probably the core content for mini wargaming over the course of its life.
Yes.
I can honestly sit here and say that I would be phoning you up as a friend and saying, are you fucking stupid if you said to me, we're going to stop playing 40k?
Yeah, that's not going to happen. Like we also have our core audience and our supporters, our vault members and our channel members that tune in to battle reports. And so for us to all of a sudden hard stop that is actually a bad business move.
Yeah.
Because that's what they are supporting, right? So Ravage Star is new. It's a new concept, it's a new game, and that's going to develop its own interest and following in tandem with the stuff that's already happening, because that's what we've done to build that audience, and that's the audience that supports us. So
yeah,
not going anywhere, not going to stop. It's actually still happening today. There's more stuff being filmed, like as even in the middle of the maelstrom of war that this is right now, Liam, of all the stars being ravaged. So you're right. It would actually be very stupid. So that's also what I would tell myself.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
I mean, I assume so, but you know me, I'm also a straight talker, so I'm going to say it online. And if you were shocked, then you can be shocked. But I'd be like, Dave, you're being really silly right now. Thank you, Stick Monkey, for the 5. Can't watch tonight, but dropping in to say hello and pay my weekly tribute to the Lord of the Great Hall. You're welcome, man. I will speak to you soon. You're a legend. Love you dearly. John, thank you for the 10. My biggest bugbear at the moment is rolling loads of dice for an attack. After loads more rolling and 5 minutes, the game state hasn't changed. I can't think of a simple way to fix that. Ideas. Like, this is something, if I'm honest with you, Dave, this is something that I have a problem with in 40k in general at the moment, and I don't know a fix, and I don't know if this is something that you guys have considered, but I don't like that. So, and this happens quite frequently as well. I for example, okay, in the older version, at least, I think it was, you could do like Dire Avengers. 10 Dire Avengers at the moment are 33 dice that you have to pick up and roll to hit. And if you put guide on them, you can pick up all of them and re-roll all. And And it just, when you're rolling 40 dice, re-rolling all hits, re-rolling all wounds, it just becomes a bit of a slog, and it's fatiguing, and it's, dare I say it, I think for both players it's a bit boring. And when you do factor in all those re-rolls that we talked about beforehand, so you're then guaranteeing a lot of hits, and and it's like, well, why are you even bothering to roll? I don't love it. It's not a thing I enjoy. Although I like having squads, I don't like necessarily single miniature combat. I like a squad of 5 Khorne Berserkers charging into the squad of 10 orcs, and I like that fight. What I don't want to do is then roll 50 dice versus 40 dice and see who wins, because it's a bit boring. I mean, have you guys, is that something that you've thought about? Is that something you've leaned into because you enjoy rolling lots of dice, or have you kind of pulled away from that and gone for a different type of mechanic?
So we've gone fewer dice, and it's not D6s, it's D10s. Those are the dice we've decided to move forward with.
Okay, question. Do you have any rerolls?
No.
Good. Okay. So I mean that already makes
that's
it
a
better.
never. That's a never. And how do I know that? Because that's what Matt said. He's like, never rerolls, and I'm like, good, never rerolls. He's so adamant, right? Like he vehemently hates rerolls. And so it lends itself really well when the game, the rules writer is like very much against it. So
okay, good. I'm happy to hear that, because I don't like rerolls, and I think I'm also really torn because, and I'm going to say this to you live on air as well, I actually love the fact that 40k is a D6 system. I personally am a fan of D6, and I think perhaps it's because what I've always known and what I've always been used to. But I am a fan of D6. I like D6. So I'm interested to play with D10 and see how it works, if I'm honest with you. And it's more of a curiosity. I feel like I'm going to hate it because it's not D6, but I'm prepared to give it a go.
Yeah, and you know what, to be fair, because my first thought was, we got to make it a D6, man. How are we going to do that? But then, like, there was different considerations. Like, first off, it sets itself apart from every other D6 game. By the way, there's 88 likes on the video right now. I had to mention that. And also, it's like when something is improved by 1, you know that's a 10% greater chance that you're going. And there's something very satisfying about doing that, like quick math. Like, here's a modifier, here's -2. Oh man, 20% less chance. So whereas a D6 is much more difficult to do that, especially if you're not a math head. So do I look like a math head? Do I look like a dude who can like statistically probable myself into what the best possible chance of doing whatever it is I'm trying to do? No, I move forward and I corn, and then that's my tactic, right? So D10s are nice for that reason. It's streamlined and simple, and it's easily digestible, because I think in 10s second, I think in 8s.
Do you know what? I hadn't even thought about the fact that you now know if you need a 4 instead of a 5, you're 10% more likely. I hadn't even thought of that. That's actually, as a maths head, that kind of satisfies me greatly knowing that, but we'll see. I'm still not sold on D10s, Dave, but I'll give it a go.
Yeah, and there's the symbols on the on the crit, same thing, right? And different colored dice. So it's just like, yeah, it's one of those, like, you can like it. You'll see. Experiment and see.
I'll give it a go. We'll see. Membership Vindicare, thank you for the gifted membership. I'll change that in just a second. Logan Kane, thank you for the New Zealand 5. Let's see, we're a multinational channel over here, Dave, to be clear.
98 likes.
Will there be cooperative rules? This is now turned into Ravage Star, but will there be cooperative rules for Ravage Star?
So, allies?
I guess, yeah.
Yes, the answer to that is yes, because of the mechanic, the activation mechanic, where it's a bag and you put your tokens inside. Each token represents one of your units. I mean, there could be a 3-player game. There could be a 4-player game. And what you do is you put all your tokens in the bag, and you pull, and it's like, okay, you go, you activate, you go, you activate. And there are, you know how, like, what is it called? Triumph and Treachery? There's multiplayer stuff where it kind of gets weird sometimes with, all right, I already went and I attacked you, but on your turn you also defend back. But what happens when 2 people do that? And so there's like this weirdness that creates, and like, we got to create a house rule to make it so one dude isn't attacking 3 times on one turn. So how does that work? And whereas this, you put all the tokens in the bag, and whether it's 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, it's easy. You don't have to think about all those considerations after.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. Starbright, thank you for the 2. How much to make a Great Hall faction? # Berserkers. I mean, we kind of talked about this yesterday, chat, right? I said I'd be interested in working with Dave on making our own faction. And he just said, all of you need to click the link. There you go. And that link, the link that is !Ravage Star, or the link in the video description below, that link specifically is my link. So he knows you've come from me. Just saying. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually very true. So that by clicking on that link, you help Liam, because in a very real sense, we see what we're able to do as creators and contribute to the campaign that many people are actually helping with and supporting, right? And so that empowers us. If we see that we are contributing a certain amount, we are able, that informs our decisions in the future for when we're doing sponsorships with other companies and whatever. So Liam, as a creator, this informs you and your audience how much of an impact you all have on the campaign, which you want to create a faction for. Yeah. I mean, first off, thank you for that's a big deal. That's your creative time and energy that you're choosing to spend on this when it could be a million other things. So first off, awesome, and thank you, right? And second, yes, of course I want to make a faction with you. What is this? What are you saying? What's this thing with Berserkers? Like, you say Berserkers, and the answer is yes, like 88 times after that. So what are we talking about here?
It just said hashtag Berserker, so I read it out. So there you go. But we wouldn't have Cornate Berserkers. We'd have I got ideas. Dave. We'll see. Okay. The other thing as well is, if you keep clicking that link, he just talked about sponsorships, right? So if you keep clicking that link, then in the future, when he's like, hey Dave, Liam, I want to sponsor a video, I'm like 10 grand straight up. Awful Gamer TJ, thanks for the 5. Would you have a weapons are useless rule, or feels bad when tank gets hang on, let me read this in English, because I think he's written it in Northern. Would you have a weapons are useless rule, always feels bad when tanks get sandpapered down by weak guns? Right, I caught up with you. Yeah, so back in 7th edition, and I think Heresy might even still have this, if you were less than half, the weapon strength was less than half the toughness, you couldn't wound it. So a lasgun couldn't bring down a Wraith Knight. And me personally, I'm all for that. So if we talked about the discrepancy between, for example, D6 and D10, and how much of a difference it makes, but giving you more options and more variety, and less, and sort of not needing so many rerolls to kind of make things more feel like they should. Well, actually, what GW did when they made this decision, in my opinion, when they made the decision to go 6 is always wound and 1's always fail, is they took a D6 and they made it a 4 to 5 result probability rather than a 6 result probability. And what I mean by that is, if a 6 always wounds, then you've only got 5 chances of failing, but a 1 always fails, you haven't got a wide variable then to make things more or less effective. So lasguns, at which point, always wounding on 6s, you have always got that chance of wounding with a lasgun. And I think that's bad for the game. And we have seen historically players in 40k who have spammed supremely weak guns, but they can take hundreds of them because of how cheap they are, and they'll have no problems tearing down Imperial Knights. So me personally, TJ, if I was looking at a rule set, even 40k, I personally would go back to weapons are useless. I would go back to, you know what, strength 3 cannot wound toughness 12, because quite frankly it shouldn't be. Because if someone's firing a fucking flashlight at a tank, there is no way it should damage that tank, even its rear armor. But if you're firing a fucking las cannon at it, that should punch a hole through the front of it. That's something that I truly believe. And I also believe that if you hit a grot with a las cannon, you don't roll to wound. You've hit a grot with a las cannon. The fucker's dead. That's it's blown. It's like this lucky save nonsense that people talk about to try and shoehorn some narrative into it. Personally, I'm not about that. I don't like it. If I fire a las cannon and I hit a grot, that grot's paste now, and he shouldn't exist anymore. So that's me. I think weapons are useless is a good thing, but I also preferred instant death and auto wounding. What about you, Dave?
You're saying a lot of good words here. I love the concept of that because it adds to the immersion, right? It's like, no, we can't. We're screwed, guys. There's a tank coming. Okay, done. But that being said, with a D10 and making a crit always successful, it doesn't feel as detrimental, if you get what I mean, right? Because that's a big range. If you're like from a 5+ to a 10+, there's such a difference there in the probability of it being successful.
Is there?
Well, I mean,
you go from a 16% chance on a D6, well, 17% chance to a 10% chance. So I guess it's close to half, not quite. Yeah, I guess there's a reasonable difference there.
because you're mentioning rolling like 40 dice, right? Which is not a thing in Ravage Star, right? So it's like the most dice I've seen rolled is like in the teens, like 16.
16
like
is the
that.
most you've seen.
That's the most I've seen, and it's like now there could be more in like rare instances where certain rules add extra hits, and so that's not the max potential that could be rolled, but it's not common for a lot to be rolled. Like you should be fine with probably 12 to 15 dice on your side, and just rolling stuff, right? You might get 5 hits, you might get 10 hits, like whatever it is. It's more reasonable. Even though from a personal standpoint, I don't mind rolling 100 dice. Like when Berserker's going in, you better believe I'm going to roll like the buckets of dice.
I'm different, Dave. I want to be able to buy, genuinely, I want to be able to buy a pack of 20 dice, and that's all I need. That's me. Like, dice are typically, GW sell them, or used to sell them in packs of 20 before they got fucking stingy. We sell them in packs of 20. I much prefer, I've got 20 dice and this is all I need to make all the rolls I need. Like when Luce started looking at 40k a while ago and started learning it, or when she's been producing some of the live streams, when she subs in as B team for the producing, sometimes you'll pick up dice and she'll sit there and she'll be like, fucking how many dice do you need? Like, I've got 47 dice in my, it's like I don't like it personally. I'm against it. I'm like, I want 20 and I want that to be as many as I need. 20 dice is fine.
You'll be happy to play Ravage Star then, because that was actually the intent, is to not have a lot of dice.
Okay.
Because there's less rolling, right? So there's an attack roll, and then there's a defense roll.
Yeah.
So there isn't an attack and attack roll, and then a defense and a deflect roll, and so it's one attack, okay, done, all right, defend, and which lends it to be faster paced and hard hitting, and because of the alternate activation, there's a lot more instant engagement.
Yeah.
And so you're resetting your brain constantly, right? And it's hard to plan ahead too.
It also feels like, or it sounds like at least, it sounds like there's more interaction when it's not your turn.
Yeah.
So you don't stand there and watch a person pick up 40 dice, roll them, re-roll them, and then pick up the subsequent 35 dice, roll them, re-roll them, and then you've got to take your saves. Actually, no, you know what? I'm AP4 and I ignore invulnerable saves and I ignore the fact that you've got legs and armor and I ignore the fact that this is a game and you don't take it. Like, this actually sounds like there's more interaction for your opponent, and that's something that on occasion I have felt like 40k is lacking.
Yeah. I do have a hard stop in probably 20 seconds here because Steve's going live.
Nah, fuck Steve. No, don't worry about him.
I understand. I understand why.
Is he going live in your office right now?
No.
So where's he going live?
Oh, in the studio downstairs. He's doing a fantasy battle report.
So, okay, you don't have the technology to both be live?
I mean, it's possible. I guess we'll see.
Are you telling
I don't
me?
know.
Are you telling me that Canada's internet is so bad that if two people from one building go live at the same time, the whole world breaks?
You know what? No, you're right. You're right. It should be okay, because in my mind I was thinking, wait, we're gonna go. We're like, I was going to be on the channel, but I'm a guest on your channel, so I think we bypassed it. So I don't think it matters.
Yeah, you originally talked about putting it on your channel at the same time, but I mean, you couldn't even get your fucking microphone to work, so I think we skipped that idea. So I think we I reckon I could actually hold you for another half an hour.
I mean, yeah, you can definitely hold me. I don't mind when you're holding me.
Okay, cool. Cupping is the word you're looking for. Not holding. Cupping is the word you're looking for, Dave. Tim, thank you for the 5 gifted. 72 gifted members so far, chat, you beautiful humans. That means there is 28 to go before the normal target. But if you want to be excitable members, then there's more than that. There's 78 to go. Less than halfway. Fucking slacking. But thank you, Tim. You're a hero. Easton, thank you for the 5. Will you play a game of this when it launches? Because it sounds cool. Maybe pre-recorded to protect your algorithm. Me, Easton, I assume you're asking about me, because they've already been playing it on Mini Wargaming. Dave and Matt played it live yesterday. Is that still on the channel to watch?
Yes, that's still on the channel, and also there's some previous playtesting battle reports. We have probably, I think, 3 or 4 now.
Okay.
And so you can see the feeling of it. It's like, obviously, little things will tweak and change here and there, but the general idea is that you get the general idea. The quickness of the activations you'll get the gameplay and the flow of it. And the different types of tactics that can come up, like you'll get that flavor by watching the playtesting.
Okay.
And then you'll see the banter too, because we're constantly razzing each other, right? Because we're all learning through it together.
Yeah. I mean, look, I did drop in for a little bit yesterday before we went live. It did look like fun. So, as far as playing it on this channel, yeah, we intend to. I've already promised Dave we'll play it at least once. I think the first few times we play it will likely be Joe and I, and it will probably be pre-recorded, because the last thing I want to do, if I'm honest, is go live and butcher the rule set for fear of making it like a bad game. That being said, we did this with 10th edition as well. There is some merit to going live for the first time with a brand new rule set, and we kind of get a feel at that point as to how easy this is for a new set of players, or how accessible it is. So it might be that it is a challenge, in fact, for Ravage Star and for Dave and the team, that if Joe and I just go live off the bat for a brand new system, can we pick it up and play it, or are we sat there scratching our heads not knowing what we're doing? What's your gut? Is that something you think is possible?
Yes, and the reason why is because I know how to play it. And I'm not good at rule sets, right? And so that's the litmus test there, right? If I can pick it up and understand it, like any war gamer could, because every time consistently when I'm playing with someone, man, it's like, in my mind, they know the rules better than I do. So it's all good. They know their army, they know the rule set, they know my army better than I do. And I just accept this fact. And then what I do is I figure out a different victory condition for myself, which is normally berserking in, or it's like sabotaging whatever, and it's corning forward and seeing explosions. Like, that's my victory condition when I play 40k. It's not necessarily how well can I strategery this. It's
how well you can what? Sorry.
Oh, the strategics.
Strategery, I think you said, was the words you used.
Yeah. Yeah. That's at this side of the pond. We say it a little different.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You and the Americans take English and fucking butcher it. Right. Thank you so much, George Smith, for the 5. Hey, Dave, are the base sizes listed anywhere for the models? Hard to figure out where you can swap them into, say, 40k forces before purchasing.
I mean, yeah, there's a section. So when you go to the GameFound page on the left, there is a whole, like, basically table of contents for the whole campaign, because it's robust. You can spend probably 4 hours just looking at everything available. But there is a section that shows each faction's models, which are available, and the base size is associated with the models.
Okay. That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
Base size guide.
No, go on. Oh, people saying hi, everyone. Chris, I don't know if you were watching last night, right? But there is now a gifted member tax for being late, just so you know. I'm just throwing it out there. If you have Discord, yeah, mini wargaming. Is your Discord? I don't actually know this. Is your Discord linked directly to being a Vault member, or can people just get access to your Discord?
Yeah, the answer is both. So you can get access, and there's certain areas. If you are a Vault member, then you gain more access to it.
Okay.
That was an idea given by you. You suggested doing that, and we did.
It's almost like we put community first over here. Just saying.
I mean, that's very true. And it's all community. That's the thing. It's all community everywhere, whether it's like local community or online. That's the whole thing. That is everything.
I mean, my theory, Dave, is, without community, wargaming doesn't fucking exist ultimately. No. Because it's not like a video game. You can't sit necessarily in your fucking office or your study or your living room half naked with your PlayStation on or your computer, playing. You can't do that. You need other people. And if you talk about community events, if you talk about like Comic Cons and Game Cons, and you talk about Warhammer Fest, and you need people. But ultimately, you have to have a community. So one of the reasons why I was more than happy to throw myself into supporting this, if I'm honest with you, is because you sold me on the fact that it was being driven by community, the fact that there was polls, there was questions, and it kind of wasn't like. I would have been less behind this if you and Matt would have been like, we're mini wargaming, we know better, so we're going to write our rule set, and then you're going to like it. I would have been like, yeah, okay, we'll see how that goes, and I'd have given it a go. But the fact that it was a case of, you tell us what you like, and we'll see if we can make it fit, I think sold me on it even more, and I think that's probably why I'm more behind it. Community is key, but yeah, Mini Wargaming's Discord is free to access. If you are a Vault member, I believe you get even more access. So, check it out, and that's where you've got your playtest group as well, right, for Ravage Star?
Yeah, miniwargaming.com/playtest. That'll redirect you to the exact area you'll need to be in the Discord, where you can just tune in.
Yeah. Someone says ideas postage to the UK. Is postage to the UK $40? I think I've seen that somewhere. Is that what it is? $40?
What are we talking about specifically here?
Postage to the UK.
From where?
I don't know. From wherever the fuck you're posting Ravage Star from.
Oh, you know what? I'm not going to answer that accurately because that's. I'm going to say I don't know. That's the fact of the matter, right? Like that is like a calculation of shipping, which may change in the pledge manager and like all that stuff. So it's like, if it's around there, cool.
What's in the box? Shipping taxes. Click. There we go. Yeah. Worldwide fulfillment. Don't worry, Dave. I'll do your job for you. I'll promote you fucking. It's just a load of letters, isn't it?
Thing, man. There's so many moving parts. It's crazy.
US, AKHI. What's all this coding? China, Hong Kong, A, B, E, C, A, D, E, N, L. Where's UK? If you put UK or GB, what have you done?
Oh, Great Britain. Yeah, you might want to do that.
Is it GB or is it? I mean, I can't. GB, $15. It says.
So that's why I didn't say yes to 40, right? Because it's like, maybe what you're doing is literally the answer. Is just checking.
Yeah, just have a look at the Game Found page, because I'm going to say something which cover your ears for a moment, Dave. I would be surprised if it would ship at $15. I reckon you'd be paying more to get it shipped to the UK. But also beware. It's the same with Kickstarter, right? It's the same with Titan Strain. Shipping can change, so just be aware of that. And at the point in which the product launches, shipping can go down and it can go up. So that gives you the Game Found page, much like the Kickstarter with Titan's Terrain, and the Pledge Manager pre-order shop for Titan's Terrain is live as well. Shipping is estimated and it can change. And global shipping changes and it's a fucking pain in the ass. So just be aware of that, people, all right? There's an estimate there, but that's not a guarantee.
Silver lining is...
Go on.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say that silver lining about that is, yes, there's a shipping cost associated with it, but it is less than the MSRP. So even with shipping included, later on, if you were to buy it in a gaming store, which is the ultimate goal, is to have it in retail, it should come out to be less getting it in the campaign. And I say should because if you're living in Antarctica, you deserve to pay whatever needs to be paid to get it there on the bottom of the world, right? So I'm not going to say it in every instance, but typically that's how it's going to work out.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Big shout out to the actual Chapter Master Ballsack who turned up. This is an individual, Dave, by the way, who has decided that his name shouldn't be Chapter Master Valrak. It should, in fact, be Chapter Master Ballsack, who has just gifted 50 memberships. What a legend. Thank you, And I think he does it just so that I constantly thank Chapter Master Ballsack. This is my audience.
Yes, of course. I mean, that's the best reason ever. Now, you make me want to make some sort of alias name and just do that to someone else. That's amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Chapter Master Ballsack. You're amazing. And it means people in chat just shout Ballsack, which is great. Star Pilot, thank you for the 2. Space Vikings, live first game equals more fun game. So if I was... I mean, we're not kind of talking about rules right now, but if I was to develop or design a faction, I don't know exactly where I would go. I've got 3 or 4 ideas floating around in the head. One of the things I would want to do is proper Space Vikings. And what I mean by that is not men with furry phases that look a little bit like a wolf. I mean actual Space Vikings, I think I would love to do, with a proper Nordic-based aesthetic, rather than the kind of werewolfy based aesthetic that we may have seen in another tabletop game. So that's a thing I think would be super cool.
Cool. That is cool.
And they can have a unit, Dave, by the way, because it's Nordic correct. They could have a unit that's called Berserkers, which makes me happy as well. Because that was a thing that used to exist in the old Viking times.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so Liam, did you do this on purpose? Because you didn't say this to me before.
No, I've waited till now.
Yeah, you just want to see the reaction, you reactionist. Yes. You wanted to see what I'd say about it, because you know it's an instant checkmate when you say that. Because I am Nordic, partially so, obviously, and so I'm going to automatically want anything that you're describing about that. So yeah, fantastic idea. It's fantastic.
But like I said, actual proper I'm on when they say space Vikings, I'm on about like a full blown Nordic vibe going on, rather than the like. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I don't hate Space Wolves. I love Space Wolves, but I would like a more Nordic based actual theme, heavily leaning into the shield and axe aesthetic rather than. Because, like, for example, for the wolves here that Joe's going to be painting soon, I actually bought a ton of custom shields for Blade Guard, so I didn't have to put the big Blade Guard shields on, but I could put the round kind of Viking-esque shields on instead. Like, I would love to lean into that kind of vibe across a whole faction, and I've got ideas. I've got lots of ideas about their transport kind of mimicking a longboat kind of transport ship type thing, that sort of stuff. I think it'd be super cool to do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
Oh man, see, this is the danger in this. We start talking, Liam. So there's the 3 stages of the creation process, right? So the thinking, talking, doing. We're at the talking stage, Liam. We're talking about it. So It's like we're past the thinking of it. Like we're literally having conversations about it.
Dave, I was past the thinking of it years ago. It wasn't too long ago. I started to write my own custom narrative for Space Wolves, because I didn't like the werewolf vibe. I prefer the Viking vibe, and I started to develop a narrative a long time ago. I might still have it somewhere. I'd have to dig it out. And it was more about raiding parties. And actually, if you know anything of AOS lore, there is similar-ish kind of narrative to what I had developed for things like Osiak Bone Reapers and Idneth Deepkin, and about how they raid into locations, they strike hard, they pull back. Bone Reapers, for example, and I took some inspiration from Osiak Bone Reapers. Bone Reapers arrive at a location and they take a bone tithe. They take a tithe, and if the inhabitants of the Bone Reaper's intended village didn't have the correct number of bones because people had died, etc., to give them as a tithe, people would start hacking their own arms off to hand over bones. That's a cool mechanic, and I kind of sort of bled that into a Viking-esque raiding, and actually will leave you in peace if you like. There's some cool shit you can do with this stuff as well.
Yeah, that is really cool. And okay, so here's the other thing too. You just said that you, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, for years, like you just developing this own, like your own lore.
No. Years ago, I started to write it.
Oh,
I
years
didn't get
ago,
very far with it.
Gotcha. Okay, all right.
But the thing is, one of the reasons why I love 40k so much, and I think, if I'm honest with you, you're probably exactly the same. One of the reasons why I adore 40k so much is because of how rich the narrative is and how vast and expansive the narrative is. And there's loads of it. And there's something basically for everybody. And it's incredible. And actually, if you want to make yourself a Space Wolf Lord or a Necron Overlord, you can pretty much do whatever you want. But there is still some confines there at the moment. Now, when you look at other gaming systems that exist, so we look at Shatterpoint or Legion or even Bolt Action, those confines are even tighter because of the space that they exist in, right? Narrative space they exist in. So 40k has for the longest time been more free, but there are still constraints. I feel like with Ravage Star, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there is significantly less constraints because at the moment the narrative is quite infantile and quite new. So realistically, we can do whatever we want with the narrative, and it can be a thing.
Yes, you've hit it right on the head there, Liam. It's right at the beginning of it. The lore is being developed, and that once again is something that is being developed by the community. So if there's stories that you have, for instance, with your Viking faction and characters that exist there, that is something that is so cool. I want to know about that. And so how awesome would it be if there's this cosmic sandbox where you get to just sandcastle all day long, and here it is. Here's my faction that exists in the Ravage Star universe. Here's my commander that exists. Here's the lore behind it. And so what we do is we create a framework where that fits. And the framework is we create aspects and gods. We create different factions that exist within certain races. Like, for instance, there's the Vanguard, which is a human race, but there's many different sub-factions that come from that. Like the Veil Touched are a sub-faction of the Vanguard. And the Vikings, which are humans, ultimately, could come from the Vanguard. So, because they've spent thousands and thousands of years space exploring, So yeah, they would
But
develop their own cultures and their own stuff. So you better believe that
but
in the wide expanse of the galaxy and universe, these things could exist.
they could also not be human.
They could also
I
not
mean,
be human. Exactly, right?
If you dive into the narrative behind, for example, Lord of the Rings, Aragorn is one of the Dunedain, kind of human, but not really human. Like, do you know what I mean? So they are human in every appearance and every way, but the Dunedain live for significantly longer periods of time than actual humans do. So there's if this narrative is really as infantile, like I say, as it is, then really they can be whatever the fuck I want them to be. Is what you're saying, right?
And here's the thing too, Liam. It's like it's ultimately community driven. So like if someone has an idea and they are the only ones that get behind that one idea, an idea becomes a good idea when multiple people share the idea, and it becomes a great idea when there's hordes of people that go behind the idea. So your faction, it just, if it ignites people, if it excites people, if it excites you, if it inspires you to share it and create more stories of it and people want to engage in it, that really speaks for itself. This is something that is engageable, is fun. So something that deserves to be a thing that exists because it already is a thing that exists. People already engage in it. So why not canonize it?
Well, what I'd like to do as well, here's what I'd like to do for you in the near future. Not only develop a narrative around this kind of concept I've just thrown at you for the first time tonight, but also where I'd like to go with model design and unit design for this is I would like a core selection. So say 60% of the range-ish, maybe 65, 70% of the range, but probably around 60% of the range, to also be, and I'm going to say this publicly, but I don't fucking care, to also be proxyable in other sci-fi tabletop systems, take from that what you will, because perhaps people aren't fans of other models that exist that might look a bit too werewolfy, for example. And then the other 40% of the range would then be bespoke to Ravage Star, because I'm not sure if you could proxy a giant longboat spaceship transport thing as a rhino, for example, right? But I think that also, if my community's watching, there will be people. I'll be straight up, Dave. You know, I'm sure you're aware of this anyway. I absolutely believe there will be people that will be watching this who will be like, you know what? I like the idea of the models, but I don't care about the rule set. And I think it's fair to say there'll be people that are like, I'm not interested in playing a new game in general. And that's why when we did the coverage of the first Game Found campaign that you did around the Veil Touched, I was like, fuck anybody else. From my channel's perspective, we play 40k. How does Veil Touch work as 40k models? So if I get to be involved in designing models, what I'll say to you, chat, is you want to collect Space Wolves? Maybe some of it would work for Space Wolves as well, is where I want to go with it. I'm not saying I'm going to specifically design it to be a Space Wolf. There's IP infringement there. But it might work. It might be that it works for certain units and certain models. I think that'd be super cool. Anyway, I need to say a big shout out and a big thank you before I lose this to Drop Dead Dave for the 10 gifted and Cornet Ed for the 5 gifted. Dave, that means we've got 137 new members tonight. There is 10 minutes to go. If you really want to impress Dave, you can get to 188. I'm just saying. Just because it's Dave, right?
Yeah, we'll give this away, okay? If it gets to 188.
Okay, right. Okay. Are you going to give that away anyway, are you? What is it? I'm not sure.
One of your viewers right now.
What is it?
To one of your viewers. This is the Veil Touch Executioner Squad Pack. So this is what you get.
Can I say that someone's won it and then you send it to me and I just keep it?
I mean, that's entirely your decision. I can send it to you, and what you do with it is your choice.
Right, hang on, Dave. Right, hang on. Now I have to do a thing. You made me do a thing now. Right, I'm going to open up my giveaway bot on Nightbot. Dave.
Actually, you know what? Yeah, I wanted to send you stuff anyway, Liam. And you're like, your response wasn't a shipping address. So it's like, this is a way of like, do you want stuff?
I mean,
so, yeah.
All I asked you was, is it finished? And you went, I assume that means you want it painted. And I went, well, you said finished. What does finished mean? And you went printed. And then I got busy and I forgot to send you my address. Anyway, I have opened up my giveaway bot and Nightbot chat, right? So if you are in chat right now, I'm going to set the eligible time frame for 10 minutes because that's the end of the stream. Okay. So in 10 minutes time, well, just over 10 minutes time. So just past 10:30 UK time, I'm going to click the roll it button. To be in with a chance of winning the box set that Dave has just showed off on camera, all you have to do is be a channel member and be active in chat. If you are a channel member and active in chat, you will automatically be entered in with a chance of winning this particular box set. You haven't got to write a phrase. You haven't got to click a button. Nothing. Just be in chat, say something in chat right now. And if you do that, the giveaway bot is currently live. I will click roll it, and someone in there will themselves be lucky enough to win this particular box he's holding up right now, which is called, sorry, say it again.
Executioner Squad Pack.
Executioner Squad Pack. There you go. So all you got to do, be a member, be in chat. And some people have tried to help you out. So big shout out Easton Jones, who's gifted 5 of the finest memberships. Big shout out Mordy Hammer, who's gifted 1. Big shout out Richard C, who's gifted 10 of the finest memberships. So that's another 16 that I have to add to my tracker right now, which means we go from 137 to 137, 147. This is maths, quick maths. 153. There you go, 153 right now. You heroes, thank you so much for the gifteds, you beautiful human beings. We have got some more super chats to get through. Mr. the Dave, or is it Star Pilot? Thank you for the. Is the campaign in Canadian dollars, and do you like the idea, Dave?
What idea?
Yes. Do you like the idea, Dave?
There's a good chance I like it. Yeah.
I'm assuming she's referring to Space Vikings.
Oh yeah, I love the idea. That's an instant win. So, yeah.
Oh, by the way, Kirioth, you know Kirioth, don't you?
John, yeah.
Yeah, he's in chat. He says, you mean you don't want them riding wolves, wearing wolf cloaks, wielding wolf claws? No, John. No, I don't want that. No, I don't want a wolf the size of a fucking tank walking across the battlefield. It doesn't interest me in the slightest. To be clear. No. It's silly. I don't want that. Joseph says, thank you for the 5. All space raids and weird space longboats. Exactly. It'd be fucking cool, wouldn't it? I'd love it. Although there is people in chat that are calling for space Viking rats. Like Viking Skaven, essentially. But futuristic Viking Skaven. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's a good response. It's kind of cool, right? Yeah, it's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool. The thing is, though, if I develop Space Viking faction, Dave, ultimately what I want is the lead character, to probably be maybe slightly modelled on this face. Not this body, but this face at least, right? I don't like the idea of this face having longer whiskers and a tail. I'm not a fan of
that. But now I want to see that, right? So... No.
I like the idea. I'm a fan of things like someone's put it in here already. Actually, grav longboats and stuff. I'm here. Yeah. Mandy, thank you for the 10. The finest memberships, but it's only for Liam. Now, if they're for Luce, I would agree. Luce is here. She's just not talking. She says she doesn't understand Canadians, eh? That's what she said. She didn't say that, Dave, at all. I made that up. Just space rats, not Viking space rats. I mean, space rats would be another cool faction, though. Have you got ideas at the moment for other factions? I assume you have.
There are, yes. So yeah, the Vanguard humans, but that's kind of infinite potential there with what you could do with it. So let's move on to something more unique in the time being, which is a space vampire elf undead race, kind of a mixture of it all. And they can raise other units of other armies. You could have like undead Amari fighting on your side as well. Your face.
I'm into that.
So that's Matt's idea, man. Like it's a good idea, because when he said it, I'm like, yeah, right away. And like your face is basically the reaction to that suggestion, right? So that's why this all needs to be community driven, because there are amazing ideas out there all the time. So just use your voice and leave awesome ideas.
Yeah, right? I'm into that. That's a cool concept. Space elf, like I'm an elf person as well as a world eater. I'm an elf person, Dave. You probably are aware. So fantasy, before they murdered fantasy, I was high elves and wood elves. In the house, I've got now in the new studio, Dave, I've got Lumineth, Realm Lords, Idoneth, Deepkin, Sylvaneth. I'm an elf person. I've got Eldar here, Dark Eldar. I fucking love elves. The idea of evil space vampire elves that can raise... Oh, you can't see it
Yeah.
right now, but my desk raised a couple of inches right then. That sounds fucking cool. I'm into that. I like that a lot. Kirios, thank you for the 2. I'm contributing to the Logan Grimnar Purchase Fund. Logan Grimnar Purchase Fund.
Hey, you made it. You got past. You got past your goal.
Yeah, I got past my goal, but I told them I want 188 now for Dave. So
Oh.
ultimately, I changed the goal before they hit the goal, so they're still slacking. Mandy, thank you for the 10. Modelled after your face. They are Vikings, not Chaos Demons.
You got the best expressions, man. I think that's why you've cultivated this this whole feedback loop of say shocking shit and just make each other laugh. It's the best experience.
Mandy bullies me, Dave. This isn't a funny moment, honestly.
You know what? You're right. You're right. You're right. Please do it more.
Fuck you. Drop Dead Dave, thank you for the 5. Cyborg people would be cool. Have them take some organics from other races, but make them all cyborg. Kind of like Borg from Star Trek. I like the idea of a shape-shifting race. I like the idea of a shape-shifting race. I think that'd be cool.
What does that look like?
Well, it's like a race that shapeshifts.
So what is it? What's the default? What does it look like when there isn't a shape to be shifted in?
I haven't got that far, but I wonder if there is scope for a shape-shifting race to not even need its own models, Dave. They just use models from other factions.
Interesting.
By the way, chat, I'm not saying this is a good idea. I'm flat spitballing right now about random shit that could be super cool because I like it. I'm a fan.
That is cool.
I'm trying to keep up now with all the cyborg. I like the idea of cyborgs, like Borg from Star Trek would be cool. Yes, and look at Warhammer Norska, and as a faction has some really cool ideas for a Viking theme. Example, instead of riding on wolves, what about mammoths? See, riding on mammoths just flat makes more sense than wolves that are bigger than fucking tanks. Whoever designed Thunderwolf Cavalry should have got the sack. Simple as that. Get rid of them. Robot skeletons, that's Necron's Barrows Forge. You've got to be a bit more original than that, for fuck's sake. A shape-shifting race that can use other enemies' units. Exactly, Fat Fox. That'd be cool, wouldn't it? So what you need, though, here's what you need for a shape-shifting race, right? Is you need a mechanic in place whereby what the player can't do, necessarily, is just pick all the best units from all the factions and run that army. So what you arguably need is a mechanic whereby you have a kind of base profile and a basis. It's still pretty good and it has its own rules and it's sweet, but there is a way in which the shapeshifters can shift into your opponent's force. So we've seen kind of a little bit of stuff like this from the Changeling in Warhammer 40k. There's been some mechanics that could make this work. That's how it could work. That's how it could be cool, perhaps. So the Changeling used to have mechanics whereby it could pick an enemy, for example, it could pick an enemy character it was in base contact with, and it could use that weapon profile instead of its own weapon profile, because it would essentially mimic the weapon. Mm-hmm. Like, that's something that could be super cool. I like that. Mandy, thank you for the 10. Shapeshifters like the founders from Star Trek Deep Space Nine. The models could be like half transformed into other factions' units, using similar rules for the undeads raised by the Vampire Elf faction. See, chat getting excited now. We should. Do you know what, Dave? We should have fucked off the whole talking about rules thing for this stream. We should just talk about new faction ideas.
Oh yeah,
would have been much better.
Yeah. No, we can still do for a few. But yeah, that's We gotta get to 88, right?
Dave just sat there with his little notepad right now. Elemental faction that has has a minimum of 4 elements. An elemental faction sounds fucking cool, actually. I like that idea.
Ooh, yes, it does.
That sounds really cool. And can control, like... So have you played Age of Sigmar with Idoneth Deepkin playing? Have you ever played that?
I haven't played against...
Idoneth Deepkin have a mechanic whereby they control a tide mechanic, basically, and depending on what tide they're in or what stage of the tide they're in, because they have this ethicity that comes in, depending on what stage of the tide they're in depends on an impact that happens to the Deepkin. Imagine if you had an elemental faction that could impact the tabletop genuinely by having different elemental impacts. So they could have a wind-based power, a sunstroke heat-based power, a washout-based power. That would be interesting. That could be cool.
Yeah. Yes, that would be, wouldn't it? Oh, I love that.
Then
you can have golems. You can have like rock. You have fire golems, earth golems.
I'm just saying, Dave. You should have had me involved from the start. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying.
Well, you know what? It kind of sounds like you're involved now. I mean,
I'd like to say genius, but it's all chat. Mandy, thank you for the 10. Shapeshift based on what you touch. Then I just have a hand of penises. Similar to the monster in the movie The Thing, needs to physically touch and kill its target before transforming. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that is
like
cool.
That.
Yeah,
it's
thematic narrative. I like it.
Yeah, that's the stream for next time. This is the 40k After Dark stream on Friday, perhaps. If I could make any faction, what would it be? I'm just saying. There's a stream coming. Right, chat. Anyway. I'm conscious I've had you for 90 minutes, despite the fact that I haven't. It's YouTube's fault. It wasn't my fat finger. So fuck you, chat. It's not my fault. Anyway, we do have a giveaway currently going for you wonderful people, where Dave is going to give away a box he's going to hold up right now. I have to say as well, this is very much becoming a mini cocksucking session, but I have to say, the Ravage Star miniatures, Dave, if I'm honest, completely brutally honest, genuinely exceeded my expectations as to how they were going to come out, if I'm honest with you.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I thought they were going to be pretty good, and I thought that was kind of where it was going to end. The detail on them, whilst also being a flexible PVC, is fucking mental, quite honestly. Can I get one that size?
Yeah.
Yeah? Is that a thing I can have? Am I allowed to have one that size?
I think that's going to be up to the chat, though. Like, they have to use their voice and, the members specifically, right? Because that's where, like, your thing... I think that's how it works, right? Because that's how things are manifested.
Yeah, I often manifest things with my members. Yeah. I'm not allowed to touch it yet because I have to paint a full Eldar army before I'm allowed to touch any of the miniatures. Otherwise, I have to shave my whole face off. That's a promise that I made to chat. But now I have the studio space. I want bigger busts and bigger models to work on in the future as well. So that's fucking sick. That's cool. There is a giveaway anyway. I'm going to give you a 30-second warning, chat. Everybody comment in chat right now if you want to be in with a chance of winning that boxy showcase just a second ago. Thank you so far. Thank you, Dolthar Sojath, for the 5. The Swartalf, Evil Dwarfs and Elves, Vanir, Psychers, Acer, Lader cast with fun abilities, Jota. So much stuff. Basically, he's just throwing ideas at me for... I'm into it. We're going to make it a thing, don't you worry. We're going to make a faction. Whether he likes it or not, we're going to make a faction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put together a bunch of concepts and ideas and send them to him that are so good, he can't fucking say no. That's the point. By the way, I don't know if you're watching chat, but have you seen how many yeses have gone in there?
Yes for what exactly?
For me having a big toy, Dave, obviously. It's about me having a big toy. That's what the yeses are for. Anyway, right, keep chatting. You've got 10 seconds, and I'm going to hit the go button on Nightbot. Okay, 10 seconds. There is currently a number of people that are in with a chance of winning this. If you win the giveaway, you can either go to the channel about page on YouTube, click the view, email me directly, or you're a member, because you have to be a member to be in with a chance of winning. What you can also do is you can DM me on Discord. If you DM me on Discord, get me your details, and we'll get it shipped to you. I tell you what we'll do is I'm going to have to cover the shipping, Dave, because it's on my channel. It's only fair. We'll work it out. We'll work that out later. Just get me the details, and between Dave and I, we'll get it out to you, beautiful people. Are you ready, Dave? I'm about to hit the roll it button. You stood there keenly watching.
Yes.
Yeah, you excited?
I'm excited. And shipping is probably there's like some of this is in the UK. So
we'll figure it out.
Exactly. Yeah.
Bang. What the fuck sort of name is that? Road Squatch. That's a great name. I like that name. Road Squatch has won the giveaway.
I love it.
Tim says, make me a winner. I'm afraid, Tim, you have a grey name. And we basically treat people with grey names with contempt. So, no chance of winning. Yes, Liam should get a big model, but he must paint it himself. I mean, that would be the intent. I'm going to let Joe keep painting all the miniatures apart from my Eldar, and I'm going to paint all the big shit because that's fun, right? Anyway, if you are, I need to keep on the channel for just a moment to make sure that he's in chat to message and say, hey, I'm excited, and then he can DM me on Discord. But Road Squatch has won it. You're a legend. Well done. Thank you. You people are incredible. Thank you so much for all of your time tonight. Importantly, we maybe slightly more often than once every year and a half, Dave. We should probably do this more often.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, I'm not talking like weekly or even monthly, but maybe more than once every 18 months would be great.
Yeah, easily agreed. Yeah,
okay.
This is fun.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, perfect. Oh, he's in chat saying, oh my God. DM me on Discord if you're in Discord, my good man. If you're not in Discord, !Discord in the chat, and then you hit the link and join into the Discord. If you can't make that work or you don't want to make that work because you fucking hate Discord, if you check on the channel about page, there is an email address that is available and you can get hold of me. Dave, you are an absolute hero and a legend. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight on this random... I tried to do a fancy camera switching thing as well, which I think's worked all right, actually. I quite like it. I don't like it when you just see a Google call or a Skype call and it just looks shit. I hate it. So I think this looks better. I mean, it looked really crisp, chat, for the first 10 minutes that you didn't see. I'm just saying. But thank you so much. You're amazing. I know this wasn't supposed to be all about Ravage Star. We've kind of talked about it more than I think we were going to. But I am excited for it. I know the campaign's already been a success. I know you only put it live for 8 days because you're a fucking lunatic. 8 days, 8 hours, 8 minutes, and 88 seconds. Was that right? Was that 8 seconds?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
See, chat, he'll never leave 40k. So I wish you more success with it. I hope it completely explodes, and I hope you do really well. I'm excited to see how it grows. I'm excited to see what happens with it. I'm sure chat is on the whole as well. If you want to support him, chat, there's a link in the video description below, or you can !Ravage Star. And I urge you to support him. The more people in general, not just Dave, not just Titans Terrain, but the more people in general in this space who we support, experimenting and doing their own things, the better the hobby space is going to get for everybody. I mean, even if all you want is for GW to be better, let's say, for sake of argument, Ravage Star does explode. Let's say it makes millions. Let's say that it is a widely supported game. It might make people like GW go, oh, fuck. We need to stop taking our audience for granted. And so you get a positive impact anyway, right? Rising tides lift all boats. A favourite old man with a fucking hat used to say that quite a lot. A rising tide lifts all boats. And when people like this put themselves out there and have a go, if you can, I urge you to support it, just to give them a chance. Give them a chance is kind of all we're asking, right? Ultimately. So good luck, Dave. I hope it goes really well.
Thank you.
And also... absolute hats off to Matt, who has to listen to you and turn that shit into actual rules.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, he chooses to stay. So, it's his fault.
Yeah. Anyway, chat, you're amazing. Thank you so much for all the gifted memberships. 153 of the finest gifted means you did smash through the target. You are amazing. Thank you for all the super chats. Don't forget, 10% of all super chat revenue is given to charity. Well, 10% of all super chat revenue profit is given to charity every single time you guys super chat, so a big shout out for that. Tomorrow we do have another live game of 40k at 7:30. Unfortunately, Paddy's not going to be with us, but we're going to keep the same concept and the same idea, where we're going to rotate round. It'll be me, Joe, and Brom. Quite fitting, considering tomorrow will be the last ever game stream in my tiny little garage. Dave, I'm moving into a big studio.
Yes.
Did you watch the video I sent you? Did you watch it?
I did. I watched it as we were talking, but there was no audio.
Did you have an erection?
The table did go up a couple inches, as you said. There.
I'm so excited. So tomorrow, chat, will be the last game in that garage. I'm going to do my best to not be slightly emotional. Friday, we're back at 9:30 with 40k After Dark. You people are incredible. Dave, is there anything you want to say before we go?
Yeah, congratulations, man. New studio, that's awesome. That's to be celebrated.
Oh, I'm celebrating.
Yeah, that's all I want to say. Thank you guys are awesome. I love you, Liam.
Aww.
That's it. Yeah, that's really all I need to say.
You're so nice to me, Dave.
But because I like your face when you I love that right there. See that there it is. See that's why, because you don't even have to do anything and you just make me react. So how can I not like it?
I'm going to try and get out to the bunker again next year. Like I said this on the video yesterday, I'll try and get out there again next year. Cost is a thing, unfortunately, but let's get out, see if we can get our creative heads together as well. So We'll do it. Right, we'll do it. Thank
Excellent.
you. Thank you for coming tonight. You're amazing. You're a legend. I love you. Chat, you're also amazing. Don't worry, I haven't forgotten about you. But Dave's just prettier. Okay,
It's hard to say bye, isn't it? It's hard to actually click the button and like stop the stream.
It's normally actually all right. Like it's normally easy enough. It's just because you're here. I'm trying to make sure I do it right without we're getting there. We're getting there. Right?
There's no right or wrong.
But also, if I click goodbye to the stream, I basically have to click goodbye to you as well. That makes me sad. Anyway, chat, you're amazing. Thank you so much for what. Oh, I need to find the right button actually before I do this, don't I? Because if I click it like I click the go live button, it's not going to fucking work. Anyway, chat, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.